Hi guys, thank you for dropping by and checking out this video. Today I am offering out a challenge. Ooh. So this is something that kind of was dropped at my doorstep a little while ago. It's an interesting concept and I'd like you to have a go at it, and I think it will really help you focus and think about other things with your drumming. And this is part 1, and there'll be part 2 the next time I do one of these, so that'll be next Friday. So what is it? It's called the Spacial Challenge. Right, okay. So this started a little while ago and I had 2 top class producers talk to me about this over the last sort of 5-year period, I suppose, maybe a bit longer. One of them was Rik Simpson, who's worked with Coldplay, and he's the producer on the album that I did with Laura Pausini that won the Grammy. Yay! And the certificate and stuff is around here somewhere. The other is a really good friend of mine, as well as an awesome producer, and that's Stuart Bruce, who I've worked with on records by Charlie Jones, Loreena McKennitt, and also Jennifer Crook and The Broken Road. And they both, independently of each other, had spoken about working with, because every now and again, you know, when you're talking to these engineers and these producers, you sometimes, if you've got that little moment alone with them, you sort of bend their ear a little bit about stuff and also pick their brains. There's a lot of bending and picking going on. And both come up with a similar thing. The first guy to mention it to me was Stuart. He said how difficult it is to get a drummer, whether it be, you know, just someone on the local scene or sometimes a pro drummer, just to play the same thing over and over for like 5 minutes without any deviation or any inflections in the groove. And I thought, okay, that's interesting. Why? And then Rik Simpson said a similar thing, you know, when trying to get some loops or just trying to work on various structures of the song with, you know, and trying to keep the template the same each time you do it, which comes down to that discipline of being a studio musician, that once part of an arrangement is set in stone, there's no need to change it. The next time you do it, don't put a fill in or a phrase, because there's no need, because you've just organised it. And that's how everyone's hearing it. So it's almost like painting by numbers, which, you know, to some people it's like, I want to do it different every time. You know, but when you're working with that discipline in the studio with like-minded musicians, you know, these people want you to do it the same every time. So this is what they were saying to me, and this is, I thought, was very interesting. And I thought I was reasonably disciplined, so I tried this out for myself. And it's really, really difficult, because our musical brain wants to kick in and say, just bung something else in, or, you know, if I'm playing a boom, cat, boom, cat, you know, straight 8s on the hats all the way through and stuff. It's easy to maybe on the snare put a boom, ga, boom, ga, da, da, boom, you know, or something, or a stum, tum, 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 you know, little inflections, or going to the side of the hi-hats for a different sound to give it just some movement, or a boom, ga, boom, ga, boom, boom on the bass drum or something. You know, it's really hard not to, because our musical brain thinks this will help the music. And on one side, that is true. And I'm certainly not saying that we should change that. So any ideas you have when you're playing patterns like that, you've got to try them out, because they're all in your head whizzing round when you're jamming with somebody, and they need to come out. But that's a discipline for yet another chat. For this first one, I want to throw out the challenge to set yourself a 5-minute time slot. Play just a straight ahead groove. Boom, gat, boom, gat. Pick a dynamic, whether it be loud or quiet or medium, and record it, but do your best not to add any other inflections into it. So you'd want to focus on one, consistency. Is the bass drum the same volume each time? Am I connecting to the head on one beat because I feel like it, and am I then bringing the beater off for the next beat? Remember, if you're recording, the microphone picks up any slight nuance, especially, you know, depending on how your bass drum is tuned and so on. how much damping is in there and what microphones are on it and stuff. Is there one at the back? Is there 2 or 3 on the front, or just one inside the drum? Is it a ported bass drum? All that. So whatever dynamic you start with on the bass drum, keep it. Same with the snare drum. Are you rim shotting all the back beats 2 and 4, or are you playing them in the centre of the drum quite lightly? But again, try and keep them the same all the way through, obviously adding no grace notes all the way through. Same thing with the hat. Are you playing on the top of the hat or at the side of the hat all the way through? Again, you should try both, and keeping that consistency solid. So that's one thing. The second thing would be timing. Obviously, honing in on that click, that metronome, just sitting there on the beat. Am I sat on the beat? Am I slightly ahead? Am I slightly behind? When I start drifting off, am I going slightly behind and think, oh damn, back on it? Or if I'm thinking about other stuff and drifting off, am I speeding up? So that's really important. So the time needs to be steady, it needs to be comfortable, and if you're going to play or slightly above the beat or slightly behind it or directly on it, keep it the same all the way through. 3, a headspace is really important. Sitting there and really feeling that time, getting the head in a space where you're not bored, it doesn't wander. It's almost a Zen-like headspace. So in a way, things do come and they go. You know, they're bound to, like when you meditate, you know, let them come through. But the main focus is on exactly what you're playing. 4, whatever tempo you're at, listen to the space. So this is kind of conceptual, but feeling and owning and listening to that space is important. So if you're playing all those, you know, kind of spaces in between all of these beats, or if you're here, it's about owning and understanding each of those spaces and why they're important. And of course, when you go even slower, or even slower again, those spaces become incredibly important. And 5, think about the grid of time. So if we're down here, dum, pa, gum, in our head we want to be thinking da 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 cat da da bum bum dum dum cat da 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 da. You know, we think faster tempos, we think 16s, we think 30 seconds, we sing them, we don't actually play them. So try and work on that as well. When you get faster, bum bum kata dum dum kata dum dum kata, you could think of counting slowly. So dum dum kata dum dum kata, 1, 2, 3, 4. So your heart rate is a bit slower and you're not going 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And just think about that timing, that space, the feel. Think about the notes you're not playing. It's really, really important to get that inner grid, you know, or that grid of time working for you, that inner metronome. So when you're playing with your band or with a click again or whatever, you can start working on some of these ideas and you can keep your time nice and solid because you've got this internal grid of time and internal metronome that's working for you. So that's Rob's challenge for this week, and there'll be another one like it next week. So if you're sat here thinking, doesn't apply to me this, it does. Any drumming stuff that you ever see, it always applies to all of us. There's always something we can work on. And this is a concept that isn't like sitting down and working with quintuplets or, you know, one-handed rolls and all that kind of thing. You know, that's all cool too. This is a different concept that's going to help you make music and become more of a rounded musical drummer. And the next time, you know, Jim Keltner's playing, or Levon Helm, or Ringo, or Charlie Watts, you know, now I know these are old cats, you know, but Steve Jordan, we could put in that bracket, and of course Steve Gadd. When you're listening to a track and thinking, as a drummer, oh, they're not doing very much in this track, replumb your brain in and think again, why are they sat here just playing, why are they just playing that? Because it feels great. It really, really works. And just playing this kind of thing, believe you me, is one of the hardest things to do. So this isn't like some kind of patronizing video. It's not. It's trying to get you to plumb in and just think about this because, you know, what is it? Grooves pay the bills and, you know, fills bring the thrills or something that Steve Gadd says. You know, that's true as a session player. The reason I do so much work with so many people is that I can focus on groove and just stay there, whether it be complex because I've just done an album with a singer-songwriter called Lewis Clark, where I was allowed to really go for it with a mix of like Tower of Power groove and Steve Gadd and, you know, all that contrapuntal stuff. It was syncopation. It was just amazing. It was like, am I allowed to do this? Woo! And I'll let you know when that album comes out. As well as working with people like Loreena McKennitt and, as I said, Jennifer Crook recently, where I'm just, you know, focusing on the main nuts and bolts of the groove and the dynamic, and I'm just doing that because it's what's needed. And that, along with all the thrills, spills and bellyaches that I can do as well with the technical stuff, that's a whole different thing. Okay, so let me know how you get on with this. If anybody wants to interact and send me videos or whatever, that's cool too. But, you know, this is just something you can do at home, and it's important to film it and also, you know, watch it and listen back to see how you're doing. Is it coming across properly? Is there any, you know, changes in the groove? Does it speed up? Does it slow down? You know, is the dynamic changing? Did I put a little bump in somewhere? You know, it's a really good challenge. It's not just a bit of fun. It's actually something that will really, really help your drumming. So thanks for tuning in. Any questions, just let me know. Put all the comments down below as ever. It's always good to get this interaction going. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I hope you really enjoy the challenge, and I'll see you next time for part 2.